One of the ones I really liked was the instruction manual by John Ashbery.
Why did you like it, Lo?
I thought it was really cool. I thought it showed the resistance that, we have as young writers, especially in school, between, writing what we have to write and writing what we want to write. So I thought that was interesting. And I thought it was pretty funny how it was all made up and it was sort of said a lot about human experience and do we really need it to write about things.
The instruction manual, kind of a gag, but deadly serious in a lot of ways. So Carlos and Emily, say one thing about the instruction manual that you think is interesting. Emily first.
Yeah, that especially in the context of kind of the New York school, where there's a type of kind of peripatetic kind of urban experience that's being prioritized and kind of transcribed. The instruction manual kind of borrows the form of that, the kind of ambling quality, but to suggest that there are types of experiences that you can have only in the imagination, or that you don't really need access to what is at this point a type of urban landscape that few people really have access to.
All right, cool. Carlos, your thoughts on the instruction manual?
Yeah, I would say much of the same thing. That's what I find interesting about the poem. That it's almost Dickinson-esque to me. That it's sort of like the mind affects reality, but also literature sort of affects reality, and you can live in that.
Yeah.
Walk around in that.
Cool. Lo, could you give the mic to Lily Light? Gabe, what is the downside to this experiment? Is there a downside to the instruction manual?
I mean, one could be that the sort of lived experience of Guadalajara is sort of lost in his humorous, fantastical vision of it. So he's approaching it with this humor, this campiness to it that I think is very appealing. But Guadalajara shines in this very specific way that perhaps Guadalajara city, actually in Mexico, might not, shouldn't. And John Ashbery, it's John Ashbery's version of it. And also it is to say also, this is completely separate, that the instruction manual itself doesn't have possibilities or something like that. Not to be defensive about instruction manuals, but it's also saying that there is not a productive way of doing this. And so I am in my mind.
Cool. Davey and Molly. I invite Davey and Molly to just respond. Is there a response to Gabe's downside?
I think one thing to tie in here is something that might speak to Gabe's downside, which is coming to us from Twitter. Colleen Knight, thinking about the instruction manual.
Say it slowly.
Sorry, I have to translate down to normal human speed. Someone wound my batteries too much today.
Okay.
Colleen Knight says, the instruction manual, quote, makes me look within and outside of New York. At lunchtime, he's insular and worldly at the same time. And I wonder about the benefits of that insularity, where insularity is a downside, it's a lack of possibility, but then also is a kind of protection, a kind of... there's something about the New York school that's also, maybe she's suggesting, bounded by New York, that New York is a frame of possibility, a space to walk around in, but also a kind of stuckness, a kind of detachment from, a Guadalajara that's only imagined and perhaps in ways that are, super problematic.
And stuckness in the sense of being young and having a shitty job, which is to write the instruction manual for a new medal.
Right. And so there's there's what we were saying about, it's O'Hara's lunch break and he can wander around, but also he has he's super aware of time. It's 12:20. It's 12:40. Shit, I have to get back to my office.
Right. And in Ashbery's case, in the instruction manual, lunch hasn't happened yet, and I'm sitting in the office, and I don't want to write what I'm supposed to write.
Yeah. So freedom and stuckness are hanging out together here.
Yeah. Colleen, hi, Colleen. Would you tweet a follow-up to that tweet? Because I want to know what you think of Gabe's sense of the downside of the instruction manual. And Molly, do you have something to add to this on the instruction manual? I'm going to paraphrase a version of Gabe's downside, or the downside, which is in service of a gag about how you really don't want to have this stupid job in Manhattan. He's deliberately creating a satire of a place he's never visited, kind of not fair to the real Guadalajara, which actually is real. And there's a kind of expense there. The satire is very funny because he reproduces the idiocy of brochure tour guide language, but he's actually talking in a way that suggests he understands about real people, and there's something appropriative about that that's a little creepy. Is that a fair enough version of your? Yeah. Okay, great. Molly, what do you think about all this?
This is not going to be the answer you're looking for at all.
Oh, am I looking for an answer? Okay.
There's something that feels to me super privileged about it. And this is like first world problems that, oh, I'm stuck at this desk doing this job in Manhattan when I really want to just be able to do my art all day. And
right. So you're supporting Gabe's sense of the downside.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.